The family of the teenage girl who died after a flag football game last weekend has planned several public vigils to honor her. And just moments ago, the Clark County coroner ruled her manner of death as natural. They say she died of anomalous origin of right coronary artery. Clark County coroner ruled her manner of death as natural. Her manner of death as natural.
Here in the Valley is coping with a tragic loss. For the second time in a week, a Las Vegas high school student has died after suffering cardiac arrest at school. This is Jordan Brister. His mom sending us these photos. Jordan was a senior at M+ Academy and had dreams of going into the military after graduation.
Have you noticed how so many young people are dying of heart attacks? I know I've spoken about this in the past and repeatedly, but there's a need to talk more about this and try and understand why heart attacks are suddenly claiming young lives. For the longest time, heart ailments were problems we associated with older people, those above the age of 60. But earlier today, a young politician died in India. She was all of 42. She died of a heart attack. A couple of months ago, it was singer KK. He was 53 years old. He died of a heart attack. Cricketer Shane Warne, 52 years old, again died of a heart attack. Young actors have died. Young athletes have died. They were all seemingly fit people. Before we put together this story, we spoke to some doctors to look for answers, and this is what they told us. They said there are 6 things that make a person vulnerable to heart attacks: diabetes, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, smoking, family history, and lifestyle. How vulnerable you are to a heart attack depends on how you fare on this chart. But here's the thing. Neither high sugar levels nor high blood cholesterol levels is a new phenomenon. People in their 30s and 40s have been diagnosed with these problems for a while now. People in their 30s and 40s have also been smoking for generations now. So what has changed recently?
Loved a place where grief counselors were comforting students today. Friends considered Blaze Jacobs a positive spirit, someone who believed in the importance of being alive in the moment. Monday morning at Western Brown High, the school he loved, he was alive one moment, dead the next. Cardiac arrest.
Tells me she died here at the hospital a day after she went into cardiac arrest earlier this week. Those who love her say they're still in shock. A local cardiologist tells me it's important to always be aware of any risk.
She had a contagious smile.
Just days after the 46-year-old suddenly died, including myocarditis.
Yes, we did see incidents. It was a little higher with the vaccine.
The piano. But those days have now come to a tragic end. On Friday, the Leiden High School senior died after performing during a very special choir workshop event at Naperville North High School.
Dinner, and he was just fine. And they told us that while he was doing his solo, he just passed out.
Daniel's mother, Carolyn, says her son was rushed to the hospital, but doctors would later tell his family that he passed away. Carolyn says the DuPage County coroner told her that at this point, they have no clue why he died.
Clark County coroner ruled her manner of death as natural.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha Ha Kodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Honors, sincere honors as well to you brethren, the sincere ones, sincere brethren, you few sisters who also help and support the truth, and you followers as well, all of you who make up the supporting cast. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom and peace to the elect. So anyway, I'm just going to try to make this video short. I'm going to probably go into a little online etymology and maybe get some examples out of the scriptures to bring this home as an edifying lesson. The intro, I put in the intro to pretty much bring into the point that we're trying to make, you know, as far as what's been happening. Now, for years, there has been people who dropped from cardiac arrest. I actually knew a guy back in like 05. I think he was on some of those pills or whatever he was doing, and he he had a cardiac arrest, and they brought him back. So it wasn't uncommon. But now, what is the difference between early 2000s and now, right? There has to be a change in biology, let me say that, or something to orchestrate this illness. So I'm not going to go too far into that, but we do know in history Ananias and Sapphira, what happened to them. We've seen some examples in the Older Testament, I believe, but this does happen, right? But in the video, this doctor says it was an anomaly in the right coronary ventricle or something like that. So I looked up anomaly, which really just means a deviation from the common rule, unevenness. Anomalia, abstract from anomalous, uneven, irregular. The same. Something abnormal or irregular. Now, there is people who are born with genetic defects of the heart. So they say genetic. I'm just saying defects of the heart. And they have some issues with their hearts. And then it shows when they hit, a certain age. There was a guy on my basketball team in high school who couldn't play because he had some issue with his heart, right? So, but the difference here is these are healthy students, healthy young 17, 16-year-olds that are having sudden cardiac arrest. Now, an arrest, you can also mean lay hold, like with the grab and seize, which in Deuteronomy 22 we bring out when it comes to they had an issue with the rape doctrine, means to catch, to grab, to seize, right? And that's what arrest means, to seize. The cardiac means heart seizing. Now, the thing about it all is there's drug addicts, drug abusers, people of high level of stress, people who are sick in wheelchairs, canes, 70 years old, they're super sick, and they don't even have cardiac arrest. So let me read a couple of scriptures. 2 Corinthians 2 and 2, and I'm going to read the English Standard Bible. It says, so that we would not be outwitted by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his designs. And in the original version, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. So I looked up designs in the online etymology. It says a scheme or plan in the mind, a purposed project, design, the intention to act some particular way, often something harmful or illegal. Yeah, that's what it says. This is what the word design actually means. Let's go to Proverbs 26 and 26. Let me go to 26 and 25 and 26. Let's read that. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. The wickedness shall be shewed before the whole congregation. Right, and this can go into our people, but I'm just making the example. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit with him. So you can also go to Luke 8 and 17. That says, there's nothing in secret that shall not be made manifest. Right? So we're going to also go here to the story in Exodus 1 and 8. It says, now there arose up a new, let me see here. Let me go to 1 and 5. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mightily, and the land was filled with them. Verse 8, now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the scholars believe that it was debatable that it was King Pharaoh Ramses the second, or something like that. Pharaoh Ramses the second, something like that. So it says, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come and let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, the enemy of their enemy, right? And fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So this has been the fear with the children of Israel. So let's have the children of Israel get the Bloods and the Crips, the black guerrilla warfare and the Latin kings and the Indian this and Indian that and the black this and the black that. Let's not also forget that there's some groups set up like the Black Conscious, and these groups are set up to attack so-called white people. So you had all different people attacking in different categories, when some white people are actually Israelites. Some people who look white, let me say that, are actually Israelites. But you're not going to hold the awakening, because the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall appoint themselves at one head, as Hosea says. But you can see the tactics. This is why it's all set up. You fight him, you fight this person, fight that person, to control, divide, to conquer, curse out this we just had a guy that came up last week who could have been possibly Jake. But then you have Jake on the outside or on a comment board. You should have cursed that devil out and sent him on down the street. And first you got to know if he's an actual Edomite. He might not be. But this is the purpose plan of goes back to Egypt. Right? It says, therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them. Okay, this is the same example of what you see with the politicians, the leadership, the governments, as far as the, in the so-called black community. That goes back as history as well. To afflict them with their burdens. Okay, and that's another kind of setup where you got the black man and the black so-called black man, black woman, Latino man, Latino woman, against one another. Right? This is separating and wanting the so-called black woman to be single. They put the idea of equality out there, except when something goes wrong, right? Except when somebody puts their hand on a woman, then it's not equality anymore. Except she puts her hand on him, then it's equality. I don't know. This is what it is. But these are the schemes that we talk about in 2 Corinthians. Okay? Therefore, they set them over taskmaster to afflict them with their burdens, and they built the Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, like going back in his 50s and 60s, baby boomers and stuff like that. There's nothing new under the sun, Ecclesiastes 1:9 say. Let's make them work hard, make them bust their ass. So now let's split the family and make the woman work extra hard. We got to keep the man out, because even if she makes $100,000, she's not thinking if the man makes $60,000, she feels that he needs to make more than her. So instead of having $160,000 together, she'll keep her $100,000, buy whatever she wants, be taxed on everything she wants to be taxed on, and still live paycheck to paycheck and suffer it on out. But anyway, without any leadership or guidance. So it says, but the children of Israel multiplied, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with vigor. and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick. That's why, Jake is shooting, killing one another. Your whole mindset on the average Jake now is just to work and get that money. But we see a shift now, and things are, changing. The NWO, you know what it is, and all the manner of service in the field and their service where they made them serve with vigor. We see this going back into slavery. They gave our ass hard bondage. And then the next part goes on to the orders to kill the male children that was killed, which we could see in that parent thing that the woman was twerking in front of, the Margaret Sanger setup, right? We could see that. So there's a lot I can't say on this topic because of the nature of the video, but most of us know. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 4:4. It says, let me go to 4:3. It says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid into them that are lost. Now, we was telling IUIC, ISPK about the whole scenario throughout the whole thing. But do they want to listen? Absolutely not. They're just telling people to do what they're told. It says, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of glorious gospel of Yahushua, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahushua, who is the image of Yahweh, which proves he's not Yahweh, should shine upon them, right? Should shine upon them. So I just wanted to make a video out of this and just go back to the point from the beginning and tie it all in, that when you look at the intro, what happened between then and the anomaly of what transpired, this thing that happened, which most of us know to be true, because 5 years ago you wasn't hearing this like that. And it's also crazy that a lot of this don't make major news. You got to look at the little news outlets. It might plug in a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of different media sources, but it's not making CNN like that. It's not making so-called top public news sources. You're not going to see it on your local news. I wonder why. They put everything else on there. When all this hell was going loose in the last couple of years, they put all that up on there. But for whatever reason, they're not exposing this. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.